guys. It's Humpday lesson day, so I'd like to do a lesson, given that fact. And but before I do, I want to address. I did read a hate comment, and I want to address the hate for a second. Really, what would you like me to do, hater? I mean, do you want me to kill myself? Quit guitar? Well, I'm not crazy, so I'm not going to kill myself. I haven't quit guitar after playing 43 years, so it's not likely that I'm going to. So what's your game? What's your end game? You want me to feel like a failure? Well, what are you doing, haters? What are you doing that trumps me, or outshines me in your greatness? And we're only here for like a couple of reasons, it seems to me: a legacy and to enjoy life. Are you saying I don't enjoy life? I beg to differ. Are you saying that I don't have a legacy? Well, we'll see. You don't know that. Maybe I already have a better one than you do. And thirdly, you might say, well, I'm going to die anyway, but so are you. What's your cure to immortality? What's your immortality theory or cure for death, hater, that's going to keep you around forever? Oh yeah, I forgot, you're going to die too, aren't you, hater? So you're not really that much a better position than me, so what are you doing hating me? Maybe I could do this, maybe I could, you know, it's a you thing. So I said my little thing, I'm done. So anyway, I'd like to do a lesson today. I want to do a lesson on an unusual, I think, subject that doesn't get a lot of attention. Pitch axis theory that Joe Satriani uses. He got it from his high school music teacher, Bill West. Oh well, this. I'd like to do a lesson on pitch axis theory. So pitch axis is basically taking one note playing all modes that you want to play, but they all have to be on that note. So like, let's say I have an E. I can play, maybe I have a song called Etheric Tremors where I go, let's see if I can remember it here. I go like this, I go. That's definitely an E pitch axis thing. The first chord is a G sharp diminished. And over E, that's an E dominant 7th chord, which implies E mixolydian. So over that, I would play E mixolydian. So E mixolydian is that. I can do it linearly like on a high E string, or in position like on the 12th fret. Next chord is G major. Well, that over E, that implies E minor 7th, which could be Aeolian mode, or Dorian mode, or maybe even Phrygian mode. I think I take it as how did I take that in the analysis? I think I took it as Aeolian mode, because that's a Aeolian mode has an E minor 7th, and an E minor 7th is a G is equal to, same as a G major over E, or E over, G major over E. Yeah. So for that I would play E Aeolian mode. So I could do that linearly, positionally. Back to the G sharp diminished, which again is an E dominant 7th, E, which again is E mixolydian. So I'm back to E mixolydian. over E, that's an E major 7th chord. That could be an Ionian mode or a Lydian mode. I take it as Lydian, so then I would play E Lydian. That's linearly or positionally. Go back to the G sharp diminished, which again gives me G mixolydian, because it's a G dominant 7th. So. So if I play it all together. And it's just using it. Joe Satriani called it a combination of of modulation and drone, like droning yet modulating. So I'm going to go with a couple of Joe Satriani's examples of pitch axis now. Maybe that'll shed some light on things too. He has a song called "Not of This Earth," and it's basically it's the same 3 modes I just did, and it's even all in E. Only his is slightly different. He starts out with this would be it's an E. Basically it's a G sharp sus4, and that would be a G sharp sus4. 4. Yeah, G sharp sus4. Is that right? Yeah, G sharp sus4. G sharp 4. Yeah, a G sharp sus4. Which could either which basically makes the notes of G sharp, C sharp, D sharp, and E. Now that could be E Ionian or E Lydian, but he chooses E Lydian. So he starts it with E Lydian, and it's a G sharp sus4 over E. Then he does this. He goes. That's a G sus4 over E. C, and D, and that in E that makes an E Aeolian. So his next mode is going to be E Aeolian. Back to the G sharp sus4, again makes E Lydian. He goes up upward to an A sus4, and that could be anything really. It's got an A, D, and an E. He calls it E Mixolydian though for his purposes. And back down to the E Lydian. So his is like this. Cool, I like that. And then he has the thing, and he has a tapping part in Satch Boogie that's pitch axis. It's an A boogie tune. It's an A boogie, A Dorian, A Mixolydian-ish. And in the pitch axis part, it's a tapping etude in A on the A string with the open A resounding the different modes as he's tapping. I'd like to go over that with you guys. I'm just going to show different modes, and I'm going to speak it out and the whole deal. So he starts with a Lydian. That's a Lydian because it has an A, a C sharp, and a D in it. So then he does A Dorian, and that's A Dorian because it has A, F sharp, and C. And then he does a thing that's in A Aeolian because he goes. It's A Aeolian because it has an F, a G, and it has also a D. So now he went from A Aeolian. And then he does like a chromatic thing based on like an Eddie Van Halen type of riff. It's really just a bluesy thing that he climbs chromatically up. Eddie Van Halen thinks Spanish Fly. But he chromatically does it up a couple steps. No big deal there. But then he starts it over. A Lydian, A Dorian, A Aeolian. And then he does a clever little switch here, which could be Ionian or Lydian. I'm going to take it as a Lydian. Now that's got an F sharp, a G sharp, and a C sharp, which makes it either A Ionian or A Lydian. I choose to call it A Lydian, but whatever. Oops. That sounded sounded weird, but actually those are the right notes. And then he slides back down to Aeolian again. That's Aeolian because it's got F, G, and C in it. And then another Aeolian lick. More Aeolian because it's got F, D, and B in it. And then he does A harmonic minor. It could be A harmonic major, but I'll say A harmonic minor. It's got E, F, and G sharp in it. Let's recap that. So it starts with A Lydian, A Dorian, Aeolian, Lucidic, A Lydian, A Dorian, Aeolian, A Lydian, Aeolian, Aeolian, A harmonic minor. Then it goes. That's clearly A mixolydian because it's got D. It's got G, A, and D in it. And then it goes to, which is actually A Lydian again. So it's got G sharp, A, and C sharp. And then back to the mixolydian with the G, the A, and the D. And then back to the Lydian with the G sharp and C sharp. Back and forth. And then just to tap out the notes, you go. I added a few more there, but the same gist. And then mixolydian, A mixolydian, and then finally totally mixolydian, because it's a total dominant seventh chord. It's got arpeggio, G, A, and C sharp. It must have been really fun to record that in the studio. That would have been that would have been a blast for me as well. That's an 8/13 chord. Anyway, pitch axis is a cool thing. Now I'm gonna do just a free form pitch axis type of exercise. We're just gonna pick a key, and we're just gonna play modes all around it, and just hear the sound of the modes. You know, just hear the modes. Just hear what might be going on, so you can hear modes yourself. You know. So let's take E because that's the people's key. That's a rhyme. And let's call out some modes and just do them and see if you can hear the modes. E Phrygian. Phrygian. C mixed Lydian. Aeolian. Ionian. You know, and just hear the modes, be able to play them in position and linearly. You know, Steve Vai made the famous quote. I think it might have been famous, but he said it anyway. He said, "I didn't want to be a positional player." You know, it's good. I like positions. I like the alternate picking sound and the positions it involves a lot of the time. But I also like the linear thing and the tapping thing. It takes both to be well-rounded and great in my book. You know, to me, you know, I'm not. I don't mean to toot my own horn as far as what I've done, but I've tried to assimilate all the players. I know I do. You know, I played Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, some Yngwie, Jimi Hendrix, Ritchie Blackmore. You know, just know all the players. I mean, don't think you're all that and you know you can do anything, but try to do everything. You know, try to do every player that there ever was. You know. Example of that, I'm gonna play like Vai right now, Steve Vai. Okay, now I'm going to do some Yngwie. Ingve. I mean, none of those were exact copies of Steve or Ingve. I was just playing in their style, like my own thing. But it just shows the gist of just trying to be like able to do the thing of every player, and then make your own thing. Like that literally wasn't me doing Ingve and Steve literal licks. It was just their style I was playing in. It was my sound and my thought and my ideas just put to their style. And that's part of what's called creating music. You take your style, you borrow style from other people and get your own style, or maybe get your own style from left field, whatever. But either way, just play in your style or whatever style you want to play in, and just make up music. Make improvised melodies for solos, make songs make chord progressions and licks for songs, riffs for songs, make lyrics, and you're making music. So I love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.